I now come to Papua New Guinea and Prime Minister Marape.
Kia ora, my sister Jacinta, good to see you again. Firstly, let me acknowledge all our distinguished leaders, and I also pay my respect and commendations to the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. My sister Jacinta, Papua New Guinea would like to thank your leadership and all the wonderful work that your good country has put together in leading APEC 2021. We also thank you especially for your advocacy and leadership for indigenous people, the marginalized people, the small people, especially women and children, and your emphasis on leaving no one behind, no one person, no people behind is the highest ideal that yourself subscribes to, and I'd like to say all of us as global leaders must aspire and subscribe to. We live in one global village, one planet. We are one humanity. And with both COVID-19 and climate change challenges and effects, it affirms that whatever happens in one part of the world does affect all parts of planet Earth. It affects all of us together. Therefore, there can be no greater call in these modern times for our body of leadership to rise above individualism or nationalism or idealism, and to find a common solution and common interest and common platform for all our fellow global citizens. I did mention, and as I did mention at the United Nations when I spoke there, Neil Armstrong would have looked back from moon and he would not have seen his home country, United States. He would have seen his home planet, the great blue planet Earth. It is Mother Earth and her children that APEC must strive to protect. Hence the need for multilateralism, where we can help one another, reach out to one another, and most importantly, the weak amongst us. And let me thank very much at this juncture Australia, Japan, China, United States, New Zealand, Korea, Indonesia, and to go further away from APEC, nations like India who have reached out to help nations like Papua New Guinea, most of Papua New Guinea, in these tough COVID times. Let me also maybe thank World Bank, IMF, and ADB, our global institutions, for reaching out and helping countries and the weaker ones who need a helping hand. The APEC vision, the Putrajaya vision of APEC family, and now the continual good work my sister Jacinta, yourself leading, must continue to bind and weave humanity's goodwill for the better future of all of us. Everything rises and falls with leadership, and APEC and Family of Nations in APEC brings the biggest economic bloc on planet Earth together, and APEC's cooperation will be the combustion of global economic rebalancing and growth. We the small economies call upon you, the bigger ones, to lead for the preservation of humanity and our global village as a common goal for our cooperation. For we all know in our present world of biosecurity, or insecurity rather, cyber insecurity and environmental insecurity that threatens not just us today, but more importantly, the future of humanity, there can be no complacency on the part of leaders and leadership to rise to the occasion, to find common grounds for cooperation and not grounds for separation. There can be no better platform than the APEC platform to unite global leadership. For you and most of you, and minus myself, most of you are the superpowers of planet Earth. It is now incumbent upon each and every one of you. As I said earlier, everything rises and falls on leadership. Today we must all work together. And Papua New Guinea, in our instance, and in our small way, for instance, we commit to preserve world's 30% of rainforest we have. We commit to preserve world's 6% of biodiversity we have, but our own effort cannot be enough. We need help from each and every one of you. I know most of you were gracious enough to visit us in 2018. You would have realized we live in the middle of East and West. We live in the middle of North and South. We are the smallest economy amidst each and every one of you, but maybe our voice, especially our advocacy for small nations, the small island nations, the small developing nations, the weaker nations, can be a pointer to you big economies that help indeed to each and every one, and help to humanity is needed, because whatever happens in North affects South, whatever happens in East affects West. And I call at this juncture, the Putrajaya vision is correct and is in order. We look forward to supporting whatever comes out of APEC 2021 under my sister Jacinda's leadership. And from Papua New Guinea, we wish you all God's blessing.